Judaism and Christianity share profound connections. Both revere the same God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Both treasure the same Hebrew scriptures. Jesus was Jewish, as were all his apostles. Yet a fundamental difference exists. Christians believe Jesus is the promised Messiah. Most Jewish people do not. Today we'll examine Messianic prophecies in the Hebrew Bible. We'll look at evidence with respect for both traditions. This is investigation, not attack. Before examining prophecies, we must establish they weren't written after Jesus. In 1947, Bedouin shepherds discovered ancient scrolls near the Dead Sea. Carbon-14 dating places these manuscripts between 150 BC and 70 AD. They contain portions of every Old Testament book except Esther. Critically, they include Isaiah, Daniel, and Psalms, books containing Messianic prophecies. These scrolls predate Jesus by at least 100 years. This proves Christians didn't alter the Hebrew Bible to make it fit Jesus. The prophecies existed first. Isaiah chapter 53 was written approximately 700 BC. Verses 3 through 5 describe someone suffering. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. This describes someone suffering for others' wrongdoing. Christians see this as describing Jesus' crucifixion. The question is, who else fits every detail? Verse 7 continues, He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, silent before accusers, matching gospel accounts of Jesus before Pilate. Verse 8, He was cut off out of the land of the living, for the transgression of my people. Was he stricken? Cut off means killed for my people's transgression. Verse 9, And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. Jesus was buried in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb, a wealthy man's grave. Traditional Jewish interpretation suggests Isaiah 53 describes Israel's suffering. However, several details don't fit this interpretation. Verse 8 says, For the transgression of my people was he stricken. This suggests the servant suffers for Israel, not that Israel is the servant suffering. Verse 9 describes the servant as having done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Israel's history includes sin and rebellion. The prophets repeatedly addressed this. The suffering servant appears to be sinless. Christians believe only Jesus fits all these specific details. We respect differing interpretations while holding this conviction. Daniel 9 contains remarkable chronological specificity. Written in 536 B.C., it predicts when Messiah would appear. Verse 24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. In Hebrew, weeks means sevens. 70 periods of 7 years equals for 190 years. Verse 25, From the going forth of the commandment to restore, and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. 7 plus 62 equals 69 weeks. 69 times 7 equals for 183 years. The starting point is the decree to rebuild Jerusalem. Nehemiah documents King Artaxerxes issuing this decree in 445 BC. From that date, for 183 years using the biblical calendar of 360 day years, leads to 33 AD. Sir Robert Anderson, a biblical scholar and Scotland Yard detective, calculated this to a specific day, April 6th, 33 AD. Verse 26 adds, And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. Cut off suggests violent death. Christians see this as precisely predicting Jesus' crucifixion timing. Psalm 22, written by David around 1000 B.C., contains striking details. Verse 1, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Jesus quoted these exact words from the cross. Verses 7 and 8, All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip, they shake the head, saying, He trusted on the Lord that he would deliver him. Matthew 27 records religious leaders mocking Jesus with nearly identical words at the crucifixion, written 1,000 years before crucifixion was invented by Romans. Verse 16 states, They pierced my hands and my feet. This describes crucifixion method 1,000 years before it existed. Verse 17, I may tell all my bones, they look and stare upon me. Crucifixion positions the body where bones become visible through stretched skin. Verse 18, they part my garments among them, and cast lots upon my vesture. John 19 records Roman soldiers doing exactly this, dividing Jesus' clothes and gambling for his robe. The specificity is remarkable. Dr. Peter Stoner, a mathematician, calculated the probability of one person fulfilling just 8 messianic prophecies by chance. The odds, 1 in 10 to the 17th power. That's 1 with 17 zeros. To visualize, cover Texas to feet deep with silver dollars. Mark one coin. Blindfold someone and ask them to find that specific coin on their first try. Those are the odds for 8 prophecies. Christians believe Jesus fulfilled over 300 Old Testament prophecies. The mathematical improbability of this occurring by chance is staggering. First-century Jewish expectations focused on Messiah as a conquering king. They anticipated someone who would overthrow Rome and restore Israel's kingdom. Prophecies about Messiah's reign received emphasis. Prophecies about Messiah's suffering received less attention. When Jesus came in humility rather than military power, many rejected him. Christians understand this disappointment, but we believe Messiah had to suffer first before reigning. Isaiah 53, Psalm 22, Zechariah 12 all predict suffering. The second coming will fulfill reign prophecies. The first coming fulfilled suffering prophecies. Paul, a Jewish believer in Jesus, addressed this in Romans 11, 25 and 26. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits. That blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in, and so all Israel shall be saved. Paul describes partial, not permanent, blindness. He maintained hope that Jewish people would recognize Jesus as Messiah. Christians share this hope while respecting those who disagree. We present evidence, not coercion. We approach this topic with profound respect for Jewish people and tradition. Christianity owes Judaism an immeasurable debt. The scriptures, the patriarchs, and the Messiah himself all came through Jewish lineage. We're not suggesting Jewish people abandon their heritage. Rather, we're inviting consideration of Yeshua, the Jewish Messiah promised in Hebrew scripture. The evidence exists in texts Jewish people already revere. Isaiah, Daniel, Psalms, these are Jewish books. We simply ask, could these prophecies point to Jesus? The question deserves honest examination. Acts 4:12 states, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men, whereby we must be saved. Christians believe this applies universally, including to Jewish people. John 14:6 records Jesus saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Jesus didn't come to start a new religion. Christians believe he came to fulfill promises God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is, we believe, the Jewish Messiah promised in Jewish scripture. In our next video, we'll examine Christianity and atheism. Does God exist, or is the universe simply matter and energy? We'll present the cosmological argument, the universe's beginning, the teleological argument, design in nature, the moral argument, the source of morality, and we'll examine resurrection evidence even skeptical scholars accept. This will be evidence-based investigation addressing honest questions. Subscribe to continue. Christianity and Judaism share sacred texts but reach different conclusions about Jesus. The Dead Sea Scrolls prove Messianic prophecies existed before Jesus. Isaiah 53, Daniel 9, Psalm 22 all contain specific details Christians believe Jesus fulfilled. The mathematical probability of chance fulfillment is essentially impossible. We respect Jewish tradition while presenting what we believe the evidence indicates. May all who examine these prophecies do so with open minds and hearts. Truth transcends tradition.